Hi, my name is Debbie Trantham, and I just want to share my story with you. I thought I was saved as a child. I had walked an aisle and gotten baptized, went to church every time the doors were open. And as a teenager, I started noticing that the other kids around me, they were understanding the Bible much better than I was, and I didn't understand it. It's like they were getting something that I wasn't, and I could not understand it. And so I found an excuse, and I just quit going. And then I got married and had kids, and I was just living life. And if anyone asked if I was a Christian, I would quickly say yes and brush aside all the doubts that would start crowding my mind of, are you really? How do you know? And, life has its ups and downs, and when a hard time would come, I would pray. Only it would be one of those prayers of, God, would you do this for me? And if you'll do this for me, then I will do this. I will go to church, and I will read my Bible. But I might try to read my Bible, but I still didn't understand it. Not the way I should have been understanding it. And I knew that. And I very seldom ever followed through on the going to church. So as I go on through life, I lost my dad. And the heartache from that slowly turned to anger and bitterness. And it affected everything in my life right then. My marriage, decisions that I was making at the time, and it wasn't long before my kids had grown up and graduated and moved out. And I started to see myself for who I had become and wondered, how did I get to be this person, this bitter person? I mean, I was shocked at myself. I'm bitter. Have I listened to myself lately? Every time I talk to someone, it's nothing but just negative, and I was bitter. My heart was hard, and I was bitter. My purpose for so long didn't seem to be needed anymore, and I laid in bed one night worrying about things that were out of my control and began to pray. Kind of like before, but only this time Jesus met me there. He knows my heart. And when I prayed that prayer, I meant every bit of it with my heart, that I needed him in my life, because this was stuff that was out of my control, and only he had control of it. So the next morning, I followed through. I got up and I began reading the Bible, and whenever I opened it up, it came to Ephesians, and so that's where I began, at the very beginning of the book, and I read all the way up to Ephesians 5:14, and it said, for this reason it says, awake, sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. And that stopped me dead in my tracks, and I started to cry, because just a few weeks before that, a coworker and I had been standing there talking about God, and he told me that there are sleepers walking around all over. They just need to wake up. And of course, after that conversation, I was in a bad spot still, and I immediately started brushing away the doubts that creeped in, because I really did not know Jesus at that time. But on the day that I was talking about, that whenever I read that in the Bible and it said awake, sleeper, I knew he's talking to me. He is talking directly to me, because I am that sleeper. I have just been walking through life in a daze. I haven't been doing anything that I was taught whenever I was young, and I had no relationship with Jesus. I didn't know how I'd gotten to this point, but man, I was glad I read this, and I was so glad that whenever I prayed that Jesus answered my prayer, that He met me there whenever I opened my Bible that morning, and He revealed Himself just like His Word says in John 14:21. He who has my commandments and keeps them is the one who loves me, and he who loves me will be loved by the Father, and I will love him and will reveal myself to him. That morning, He revealed Himself to me in so many ways. I can't even tell you. Oh, whenever I think of Jesus, I know He is standing there, and He sees everything that we've done, everything that we have tried to keep secret for our whole lives that we'd rather no one know about. But He knows it all already, and even knowing that, He still invites us to come to Him and is willing to save us. And all we have to do is take that first step. Because after that first step, He meets us there. And He takes us by the hand and just walks with us from there on in. And praise God for that, because I could not make it day to day without Him. And before I finish this, if you are brushing away doubts, and you may have had the same story that I do, and you're brushing away doubts, stop doing that. Take and examine your heart, because it is a heart issue. It is something that until we come to Him with our whole heart, we're not serious about it. We have to come with our whole heart and be prepared for what God has in store for us, because He's got a purpose for each one of us. He's just waiting for us to come to Him so that He can show us what that purpose is. He has blessed me so richly. I get to teach little kids now, and I have got a purpose again. And I just cannot tell you the joy that He has brought to my life through this. So that's my story.